What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Lies here. We're back with another episode of Weekly Wrestling Heat. Today, we have a special episode where we welcome one of our good friends and one of our coolest analysts that we know. He's in the industry himself. He's brother to one of our dearest friends, also co-host to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. JD Sloane to the show. Hey.
Thank you.
Man, we've been trying to get you on for a minute now.
Yeah, I'm an old dude, so like you young cats, you guys like to stay up late and watch wrestling and podcasts. And by the time you guys start your podcast, I'm usually in bed because I'm an old man, so that's usually what it is.
Once I hit 30, I told Elias the midnight shows aren't going to work out anymore. We got to cut it down to 7.
Hey, I'm
very happy to be here. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I wish Brother Matt was here also, but I appreciate being on here with you guys.
Hey, no problem. We appreciate you coming on, man. So let's get it. Let's get into it. Let's grill him right quick. No, I'm playing. No, but let us know, how did you get into the industry? Because I know you're a promoter and you're also on-screen character. So let us know, how'd you get into it?
Well, like I'm a product of the 80s, and like most kids my age, WWF was like huge when I was a kid. And so, from the rock and wrestling cartoons and, Hogan and Savage and Warrior and everything. When I was young, 88, 89, I watched wrestling a little bit, not a lot. And I knew some people that watched wrestling, and every time I went to a store, I saw the action figures and the VHS and stuff, but I never really got into it. I was always just really interested in it. And around 1992, I got my first computer with the internet, which would be different discs. Every month, I'd have to put in a new disc of some sort of new program that was free, so that I could surf the web, like AOL and Prodigy and CompuServe and stuff like that. And just randomly, the 30 hours free this month, and then that would run out. So we'd go to the store and we'd find another disc, 30 hours free. But just by happenstance, I had nothing to look up on the internet. And so I looked up wrestling, and I came across a dude that had tapes that he sold, $10 a tape. And so I started buying tapes and stuff in the early 90s, and I became a wild fan, hardcore fan of USWA and Smoky Mountain and ECW and IWCCW and so on and so on. And so when I moved here to Nashville, the first thing I thought was, okay, I'm here in a state, Nashville, Tennessee, where wrestling's got this rich heritage and rich blood. I'm going to go train. And so in 1997, I found, I believe, an ad online for a wrestling school in Madison, Tennessee at the Excalibur gyms. It was Brickhouse Brown, God rest his soul, Brickhouse Brown and Chris Michaels. It was their school. And so that's how I first got started. I started training there, and then I went from training there to Main Event Wrestling School with Steve Dahl and Steve Hall. You might know Steve Dahl from the tag team Well Done in the WWE. If you don't know who that is, that's fine too. I understand. But Steve Dahl and Reno Riggins trained me, and that kind of started my thing. And over time, I went from aspiring to be this wrestler to looking more outside of the in-ring action and thinking, what can I do to be successful in the industry without maybe killing my body or taking a bunch of bumps? And so that's where WrestleTopia came about. And that's where the promoting came about, and the autograph signings and different things like that. That's how that all kind of happened. The production company and everything like that was, what can I do in this industry that I love so much without being in the ring? Because, honestly, I'm just at the age where, there isn't a future for me in the ring, and I have to be realistic about that. But I still love the business, and I certainly don't want to ever leave the business. And so you just got to find different ways to be a part of it.
Hey, mostly understandable, man. And I've looked up the promotions and stuff that she's done, and it's pretty cool. I've seen some couple of clips online on YouTube. So hey, more power to you, brother.
Yeah, man. We all love the business. Every one of us, whether you're a wrestler, if you're doing podcasts, if you're promoting, if you're the guy that shows up to run music for a company. We love wrestling, and we just want to be a part of it.
So reasons I like chatting with you because we're all part of this group with you, me, us three, your brother Matt, and a couple of other friends that have been on the podcast before. It's because of your unique perspective on wrestling, and that's one thing that I like and enjoy because you have that old school mentality that not a lot of people have nowadays. So that's one of the things that I call it just an isms in a sense. Because it's always a unique perspective, and you bring an honest perspective as well. Because you come from the mind of a promoter, you come from a mind of a wrestler. So actually having somebody with that experience, let's see, Delgadillo just said it. Group chat disagreements entertain me. So
yeah, it's funny when I was a kid, like online, and like I used to be on a this chat thing called MIRC, and it was just like chat groups. You type in what you're interested in, and 50,000 different kinds of chat groups responding to that interest would pop up, and you go in there, and then all you did was talk shit to each other, kind of like Facebook is now, just not quite the same platform. And you get in fights with all these people, these guys that watch wrestling in the 70s and in the 80s, and they're like, "Oh, this ECW stuff, it's all trash," or like all these new guys in 1996 are all terrible, and you're like fighting with them, like you don't know what you're talking about. But then now I'm over here like, why does everyone give everyone super kicks, and why is no one selling anything? And so like I'm just that guy yelling at the clouds right now because it's not the way that I remember it being,
Dude, it's gotten so bad to where a move, and we'll talk about your time in TNA too. Petey Williams with the Canadian Destroyer, and now everyone is whoring that move off too, and we're just like, what the hell is happening?
It's natural. I mean, I can kind of understand, what everyone is trying to sell now is the excitement, trying to do as many cool moves as they possibly can so that everyone talks about how cool each one of those moves is. So I understand it. If you look at go back to like 1992, 1993, when like fighting outside of the ring was this new thing, and some people hated it, some people loved it, but it was brand new. And every time you went to an indie show or even when WCW or WWF, when they started taking that aspect of the indies and people were fighting in the crowd and stuff, it was exciting. And perfect example is backstage, video cameras in the backstage. When I was a teenager, that was all brand new on Raw is War, Nitro,
the hardcore title, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
You didn't see cameras go backstage. You didn't see, any of that stuff. And so it was cool. It was new. But to be honest, it's not new anymore. It's not that cool anymore. Now it's just part of the regular show. And that's what all these high impact, high spots are. They're just part of the show. And so, and I think that a lot of people say the same thing. I'm not the only person to ever say it. Less is more. But I think if the younger wrestlers would take a step back and they would say, you know what, I can do all of these things, but instead of doing them all in one match, if I did one in every match, that one would stand out so much more. Or maybe not even in every match. If I did one amazing high spot once every 4 matches, that spot would mean so much more, and it would create so much more drama for this character being able to do it than if they just do 7 or 8 high spot moves to each other, back and forth, back and forth. You do a high spot, you hit it, that other guy gets back up, ready for the next spot. And I get it. Like we as fans aren't conditioned to buy into the realism anymore. So I understand that they don't have to do that. The selling isn't quite as important. When everyone saw Ricky Morton selling, and you really thought that his leg was going to break, I get it. We know that no one's leg is really going to break now. But I think that there is a group of people that would find what we do more interesting if we incorporated some of that back into it. Maybe not every match, but a well-rounded event, a well-rounded show has a little bit of everything. It has some hardcore, it has some high flying, and then maybe it can also have some of these, like Cody. Cody's matches are always dramatic and real and passionate, but that's it. You know, AEW, that's Cody's the only one that's doing anything that feels like he's trying to make you forget what you're watching. That maybe what you're watching is actually happening. Maybe what you're watching is really coming from the heart. And I think if wrestling in WWE, AEW, AAW, everyone, Impact, everyone does great matches. I think if they incorporated a little bit more passion, the passion that we had when we were young, when we first got into wrestling, I think we would be better off in the industry. It's something we're really, really lacking.
Yeah, and it's crazy because sorry, like really quick. No, it's crazy because you talk about how Cody was the one that you came to. The last guy I go to was John Cena. Whenever he'd have his like heated feud, right? You'd be he cuts that promo. You're like, oh dang, it's just getting personal. And you'd get on the internet and you'd see like, oh, do these guys really hate each other? And you know, like stuff like that. That's why I think it's really good to have guys like every company. The high flyers are great, but you need someone like a Cena, a Batista, a Cody, a Bobby Lashley, who you're a big fan of right now.
Yeah,
you know, you need guys like that who they hit their finisher once, it's game over because
that's it.
That's how,
And that's the way. And that's the way they protect. Like going to adding on to that. It's like look at Roman Reigns. Look at the whole story that he's telling now that he turned heel. He's able to tell it started off slow. Now it's picking up. Then you halt the progress, make the people more excited. Now you add an element like Jimmy Uso back when with Jay, and then now you see that ball of title just coming together to bring you to the next segment of that story arc. So it's like stuff like that makes you appreciate wrestling. And like Cody, you said it. You hit the nail right on the head. Cody is one of those few people that still tells a story, that still knows how to actually sell stuff, like actually tell a story. Like even though the this past storyline with Ogogo was kind of like went over my head, you know, in my opinion, it was one of those. It was still he still tried to make it a build. He still tried to do. He's still thinking old school wrestling, which is something that him and Dustin have instilled in them by their father. So it's like you appreciate seeing stuff like that still.
And obviously with Cody, I mean, you know, with the trademarks on the past NWA and WCW event, with the just his whole character, his whole persona. And I'm not like a huge Cody Rhodes fan. I don't dislike Cody at all. I was glad when he left the WWE because he wanted to set out and do something. And, you know, I thought it was really cool, the whole making the list and going to the different indies. I thought that was cool. That was really giving back to the industry by showing up at these small events or making it important by explaining to people, go out and support your independence because Cody Rhodes is going to be there. So I respect Cody Rhodes, you know, quite a bit. But I'm not like a huge fan of his or anything. But
have you worked a show with him?
I vended. I brought WrestleTopia to a show that he did in East Tennessee. I can't remember. It was like Ewan, Tennessee or something, but it was East Tennessee. I mean, it was out in the sticks, just out in the sticks. And he drew this fantastic card, or this fantastic crowd. Is a company called NGW Tennessee. Highly recommend them. They do amazing stuff. They use Rich Swann a lot. They have a lot. They had when Crime Time was tag teaming before the tragic loss. They used them a lot. They bring in great guys. They put on awesome shows. NGW Tennessee. But that's the only time that I've ever done anything. I've ever been around him. But, you know, he was out there taking autographs, pictures, selling T-shirts. I mean, he was doing that old school traveling wrestler deal, you know, and the crowd that he brought, like I said, is just undeniable. Like whether or not I'm a huge fan of his or not, people bought tickets to go see him. And I really respected what he was doing on the indies before the AAW thing started up. I really do. I think it's really incredible. But he's someone that goes out there, and whether he's doing a promo, and I don't even like his promos. I think he's a heel. I think he's a natural born heel. I don't think he's a babyface at all. But I think when he does a promo, when he works in the ring, when he structures his matches, when he structures his angles, it's passionate. There's a lot of passion there. You know, whether it's he hates someone or he's upset about what they did to his friends or what there's emotion, real emotion, not fake I'm sitting backstage. I'm reading my lines. I'm trying to remember them. I'm trying to figure out, okay, so how do you want me to? No, it's him. It's who he is. He's going out there and he's talking and he's being in the moment. And I think that that's just incredible. And so I that's why I bring him up. There's been other guys. I think John Cena is a perfect example. Big Match Cena is called Big Match Cena for a reason, because he really brought it. When it was a main event at WrestleMania, when it was an important angle, when it was CM Punk, when it was JBL, I mean, he really brought emotion, raw energy to the ring. Whether you love Cena or you don't, like he was charismatic, polarizing. He was someone that you saw and you looked at and you're like, man, this guy's real. That's maybe what it is. There's not enough people that when you look at them, they're just real. Do you guys know who Damian Wayne is?
Damian Wayne, no.
Maz, have you ever seen? Has he ever come to SWF?
No.
Damian Wayne costume?
No.
I highly recommend everyone look up this dude, Damian Wayne. When he works for me, I give him the nickname the Badass Throwback. But he's got a bald head. He's built, just a regular guy. But man, he's fucking believable. Can I cuss? I didn't even know.
You're good.
He's believable. He's a believable guy. You look at him, and he looks like someone that could kick your ass. That he's just everything he does in the ring, out of the ring. He's a real dude, and I think that's just, we need more of that. We need more of those guys that, like, if you saw him in the airport, you wouldn't run up and ask him for an autograph. You would stand your guard, because you don't know what they're gonna do, man.
And I kind of got that. I got that feel from you, because I remember when we were all into Bobby Lashley winning the title, Matt was kind of against it, and you're like, "No, this is believable. This guy's a real badass." And then I was like, "You have a big money match now. Whenever Brock Lesnar finally comes down, where it's realistic and it can sell to everyone."
He looks like $1 million. I mean, he looks legitimate, and he has a pedigree of legitimacy. From MMA to amateur wrestling, he's a legitimate person, and I just can't look at him and not think it would be, for him to not have a belt, whether it's the Intercontinental belt or the World belt, for him to not have a belt is just an injustice. Why are you paying him to be a part of your roster? Someone that looks like that you're not going to, and that has the physical attributes, the athletic attributes, and not take full advantage of that.
Yeah, definitely. And you worked with him in Impact, which was TNA at the time. Tell us a little bit about how you got into TNA and like what door opened and how it.
I was just a lonely schmuck on the ring crew. I mean, that's all I did with TNA. I've done a lot. I have a good friend, Jason James, who was kind of like a big guy in the backstage in TNA, and luckily he reached out to me and needed some extra people to go and do a loop in Orlando, and called me, and I got to do it, and it was amazing, man. I mean, I can't even. Back in the day when they were back in Nashville and doing the weekly pay-per-views, it was a lot different back then. It was very small scale and shoestring budget. But man, the Orlando stuff, just unbelievable. To watch a live pay-per-view be put together on the spot is tremendous. It's just a tremendous thing. Everything that goes into it, everything that goes into the backstage vignettes and the filming, just everything that goes into something like that is incredible. And now they film all their stuff right now in Nashville. And I got a really good friend, Kevin Martin, who's a producer on Impact right now. But they're doing great stuff right now. Impact has always honestly been very decent. Sometimes it's been better than others, but it's never not been good, or they've always had great talent. Always.
I think ever since they came back from the OWL, I guess we could call it the OWL era.
Yeah.
I think it's been one of the better shows out there, even during the pandemic. Impact has been able to deliver, and they've always had a great knockouts division. So that's one thing that I think low key a lot of people don't understand about Impact. A lot of their knockouts division is hardcore, like some of the best women out there.
Mm-hmm.
Even before like the OWL era, Like the knockouts were always even outperforming the men. They've had some of the first hardcore matches that even like in WWE were done in the past 5 years. In 10 years at most, they were doing it back in the TNA days with like Gail Kim and all
Awesome
of them,
Kong,
Angelina
Karen
Love,
Terrell,
Awesome Kong. Yeah, so I followed Impact for a while, even during the Al era. I hate to say it, but um, but I think they're in the right direction. I think even ROH has been one of the few companies that in the pandemic have managed to stay afloat, have managed to produce quality content along with New Japan and AAA, CMLL, and all that stuff. So
we got a great. I mean, it's weird because there's so many great independents. There's so much great wrestling everywhere, but like the it's not like it was in the Attitude Era when like everything was just on fire, man. Like everything was on fire. I think that all the talents are so much better now than they were then, but like it seems like there's something missing from then to now. And I think that it's like I really do think it's in psychology and storytelling and I really think that that's got a lot to do. Like that's why I harp on that so much is because man, we see so much great wrestling every single day. If you turn on YouTube, you can watch whatever you want to watch. Every single wrestling show, every television show, all the matches are great for the most part. I mean, there's always that stinker or whatever, but every match is great. Everyone works their asses off. They're great athletes, way better than they were when I was super into wrestling, 1998, 1999, 2000. There was great wrestlers back then that were extremely talented, but the talents today are hands down better. But they're missing that psychology of what wrestling is supposed to be about, and it's a struggle between good and evil. It's real life, real world problems. It's a real fight between people. It's drama. It's passion. We're missing that. I really do think that we're missing a lot of that.
Kind of the coolness factor too. Like in 1999, I could go outside and people would be wearing Stone Cold Steve Austin T-shirts, The Rock T-shirts. Like you go out now, once in a blue moon, you'll see someone with a wrestling shirt on, right?
Yeah.
And it was cool because it was like everyone revolting against the authority and everyone wanted to kick their boss's ass, So it was very cool because they were edgy and they were very mainstream too at the time. And now we talked about it. Another thing we talked about a month ago, it's like WWE doesn't want anyone to be bigger than the brand anymore.
Yeah, WWE is a star. And everyone in that WWE are superstars in there, but WWE is a star. When you buy a ticket for a WWE event because it's WWE is coming to town, not for any one or two particular people. So it's different. Our culture was a lot different back then, like it's like you said, everything was cutting edge and edgy, but it was mainstream at the same time. That's because in the 90s and into the 2000s, that was what our culture was all about. It was all about dark and edgy. Miramax movies were real popular. Grunge and underground rock was super popular. Gangster rap was real popular. That's what was popular. That's what our world was about, was this edgy, screw the boss, we're fighting the fight kind of ideas. And now we don't have that. And I think we have struggled to figure out, like before we started this, I was watching Monday Night Raw, and I just was thinking like how kind of silly the whole show is. It's not a show for my kids, and I don't mean like that my kids can't watch it. I mean it's not a kids show. It's not like a show made for kids.
But it's not made for us either.
It's not made for adults either. It's not really either. It's just kind of a mishmash of just.
It's trying to fit something in between to get people. So it's like when you look at Raw, you have 3 hours of wrestling, which I think there was something where what's his name, wrestler from Canada,
Lance Storm
used to work Lance Storm. Lance Storm broke it down. He said when you look at AEW compared to Raw, the first hour of wrestling is 60 to 75% wrestling. You get 15% of promos. On the first 2 hours of Raw, you get at least
Yeah.
About half of that, you get about 35% of wrestling, and the rest of it is promos and commercial breaks and stuff like that. Until WWE realizes that that formula is not working anymore, and they put more wrestling on there, Raw's going to lose quality. The reason
Yeah,
SmackDown and NXT, the reason Raw, SmackDown, and NXT are successful is because you actually see more wrestling, less focus on the story, on the promos and stuff like that. Because yes, you have less time to do it, but it's just it's a big debacle because even AEW struggles with that from time to time too. And we see that when it comes down to storyline progression, when it comes down to flow of the matches, you see them struggling with that as well.
And it's like we talk about in the group, like what is WWE supposed to do? Because they're making more money than they've ever made ever in their entire history of the company. Yeah. So why would they? Yeah, their ratings are going down, but who cares?
Everyone's right?
Well, I mean, they are, and I'm like the to me, the idea behind the excuse that the world is changing, and so no longer do the television ratings matter because of the YouTube hits or because of the bottom line is the ratings matter to the television companies. They just do. I mean, there is no show that you can watch that from week to week has a 12% ratings drop. I mean, they're not going to keep that show on air. But whatever's working for WWE, it's working. No one cares. They keep giving them more and more and more money. So why would they change anything? Why would they care whether or not people were watching the show as long as they kept making millions of dollars?
As much as I hate to say this, and I hate it because I always crapped on these guys that always said it, the demo is important. The demo, if you look at the Raw every the day after when they do those ratings, when they pull it out the ratings, WWE has always been top 10 for Monday nights. Mm-hmm. So no matter how many they could lose 15% throughout a year. If that demo stays strong and they stay in the top 10% of the top 10 shows most viewed by the demo, that's why the companies keep giving them money, because they're getting the right demographic.
As long as the TV companies, as long as WWE's program helps prop up the company to be in the top 10 of the industry, they're going to keep paying them. So they can keep doing this, and I mean, I don't know what to say to that because I've never ran a $1 billion company. So as far as I'm concerned, they're much smarter than I am, just because I like things the way I like them. I'm not making billions of dollars. That's really what it comes down to. So it's unfortunate. I do feel because, at some point, the ratings drop will matter. And at some point, the loss of fans will matter. And so I just hope that we're in a better position when that time comes than we are right now. Because right now, if they were to stop giving WWE billions of dollars, what would they do? They would be in a bad financial situation. If WWE had to take Raw and SmackDown and they had no home and all they could do is put it on the network, and now NBC's like, oh, well, now you have no options. And so now, that $1 billion that we did give you, well, the contract's up, you have no options for anything. So now we're going to drop that down to 500 million. I just hope that never happens to where they're not taking enough time to look into the future and worry about the future. Because I feel like I've felt like that for 20 years now, to be honest,
Do you think the regaining of fans, like after COVID, like going back to packed houses, do you think that's going to help the ratings? Because I can't watch Raw because 3 hours of people's faces, like it doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely. I just think that people are going to want to see the energy. They're going to want to see what it feels like again. And I think that you're going to see sellouts because people are going to want to be a part of it, which is good for their business because, they don't make a lot of money on their touring. And so I think right now they're going to make a ton of money.
Capitalize on the live show. Yeah, that's what I was reading.
Yeah. But now it really does depend what they do with this. Like, are they going to capitalize? That's the real question.
I think a lot of the stuff that they're doing right now is just holding off till the live crowds come back. I think that
kind of running in place.
It feels like just a well-oiled machine. They're trying to continue to hype up the return of crowds. So it's like with WrestleMania, they did a great job at doing WrestleMania with a live crowd. So it's like compared to last year's, which was kind of meh. This year's was like they delivered apart from 2 matches, which we all know which ones they were. You know, it delivered. It delivered on show quality, on presentation, on match speed, match stuff, everything that I like as a fan of wrestling. Pretty much delivered. One question: who is the favorite person you've ever worked with? Best person, whether it's wrestling, whether it's doing a storyline with,
He's not going to be able to pick one. You got to give him like at least 3
or one or two, a couple. At least your top 5.
I'll say Jerry Lynn is the coolest cat there's ever been. There's never been a cooler cat than Jerry Lynn. One of the nicest people that I've ever met in my whole entire life. He's tremendously helped me over the years with my WrestleTopia business and getting into the autograph signings, and that he's helped me so much. When I ran my shows in Murfreesboro, he came and he helped me with that, and we worked out some great stuff for this storyline that we did with this young guy from Canada. Jerry he really is kind of like everyone's uncle in the business. He really is. I would say he's the nicest guy I've ever met. I would say one of my favorite people in the entire world is James Carver, who is the owner of New South Championship Wrestling. He owns JCP Promotions. He's the wildest dude I've ever met in my entire life. He's a good time. He's a good party everywhere he goes. And Tracy Smothers, who Tracy Tracy was a wonderful, wonderful person, man. He was a really nice dude. He was fun. I'll tell you a story about Tracy that I've never shared. I mean, people know this story, but right after he passed away, I did a couple of podcasts, and I never shared this story. It's a little bit adult, but we had done a signing in Fort Wayne, Indiana, for Heroes and Legends. And I brought in me and James Carver. We brought in Earl Hebner and Tommy Rich, and Tracy was there. This was right before he was diagnosed with cancer, literally a week before he was diagnosed. We're all hanging out there, chilling, and Tracy comes over to me. He's like, "Hey, man, you want to go smoke?" I was like, "Yeah, I do, you know." And so he's like, "All right, come on." So he comes and grabs me, takes me out to this car. I'm sitting in there with Tracy Smothers and former NWA champion Tommy Rich, and we're sharing a joint. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm just sitting in the back seat, and I kind of just stopped for a minute. I realized.
Did we just lose them? I think we may have just lost them. Are you there, JD Sloane?
Did his phone die?
I think there we go.
Yeah, I'm back. Did you get
okay. So you're sitting in the back, you're smoking a blunt with Tracy Smothers.
And it just meant so much to me that Tracy came and found me and asked me to come and partake with him and Tommy Rich, you know? I mean, it really did mean a lot to me. It was an amazing moment to sit in a car and they're talking about, like, you know, hiding under the ring, like how Tommy Rich, the night that he hid under the ring, how he brought himself a 6-pack and a pot to piss in down there because he was under the ring the entire night, the whole show, so no one would know, no one would see. And just the stories that they shared with me was incredible. It was just amazing, you know, and I'll never forget the special moments that me and Tracy were only really close. I met him probably 2011. He was on a fairground show that I was a part of, and I got to know him, and, you know, we'd say hi to each other and stuff whenever we'd see each other. But in 2016, he came and he stayed at my house we were doing like 4-day tours. And he would come and stay at my house and hang out with me, and we would go and have drinks together after the shows and stuff. And I've only been close to him since 2016. And I definitely felt the kinship of, like, you know, here's someone who's like, you know, like Pops. He's like a Pops, you know. He comes and checks on you, and he always tells you he loves you before he leaves and gives you a hug. And Tracy was a wonderful man. I'm definitely sorry and sad that he had to leave us so early, because he was the toughest son of a bitch I ever met. Also, I mean, that dude was the most legit white guy I've ever known in my entire life, hands down.
Awesome. Elias, we're at that mark. Do you have any? Actually, I have one more question. All right, this is going to be a pretty tough one.
Okay.
So
I'm scared.
You're starting a company from the ground. 3 male stars, 3 female stars. Where same age, same popularity, same everything. You get 3 male stars to start with, 3 female stars to start with.
All right, I'm gonna pick the female stars first. I think I would pick Kira Hogan for the future. She would be the person who I'm gonna look at as being my top lady in 5 years. I think I'd pick Rhea Ripley to be the leader of the championship, to be the top place right now, the here and now. And I think I would pick, man, that's a good, Jordynne Grace. I think Jordynne Grace is someone who fundamentally, she is about as good as you could possibly ask for. She's been wrestling since she was like 15 years old. She's done every tiny indie, every big indie all over the world. She's the most well-rounded professional wrestler, maybe on the independents today. 3 guys. That's a lot harder.
You're getting the fan base they have now, so you gotta keep that in mind.
All right, I think I would start with Roman Reigns as the head, the face of the company. Mm-hmm. Man, that's a hard one.
And then you take both the Young Bucks and you're happy.
No, Young Bucks. No Young Bucks for me. I think Andrade.
Ooh.
And I think that he's my 5-year plan right there. That would be my next world champion. You know, that would be the next face of the company right there. And I think
WWE, take notes.
For my third, I would want a elder statesman who was both respected and still could go in the ring. I would pick Rey Mysterio. He would be my third.
Ooh.
I saw Rey Mysterio in Memphis, Tennessee, work with Drago and Aerostar in a 3-way lucha match for Memphis Lucha Libre. And I was fully expecting here's this humongous star coming to wrestle in front of 1,000 people in Memphis. Like,
hit the 619, it's over. Yeah, hit 1619.
He's gonna take the night off. He's just out there for pictures. You know what I mean? Man, brother, that dude, it blew me away that he was as fluid and as smooth as he was. And all 3 of them. All 3 of them were fantastic. No, it was Drago. It was Drago and Penta. It was Drago and Penta versus Rey Mysterio. One of the greatest matches I've ever seen live my entire life. The chemistry between the 3 of them was perfect. They knew what each guy was going to do before they did it. They were there for each other. As far as lucha, I don't know if you guys have seen much lucha live, but lucha can look, sometimes it could be really bad. Sometimes it can be super choreographed. You know, it's hard you don't see great lucha all the time, especially like on the independents, you know.
No, but you have to go to AAA or CMLL.
Yeah, you have to go to a big, and even that, I mean, AAA. If you watch the prelim matches, you know they're
like, it's always the main. It's always the main card that has the ones that show out. We may have lost them again. Hold on. There we go.
I think my Wi-Fi is dying on me, guys. So I'll leave it at that. I was gonna say lucha is really hard to understand sometimes. The psychology of lucha is kind of ridiculous and like non-existent. So sometimes what they do in the ring doesn't always translate to the crowd. But that Drago Penta Mysterio match was one of the greatest matches I've ever seen live anywhere.
Last question, and this is because before I let you go, Chris Dogodillo asked your thoughts on Tessa Blanchard.
I think Tessa is one of those people that is her in-ring skills are pretty unquestioned. I think she looks fantastic. She looks like she goes out there and she busts her ass. But honestly, like if it was me personally, if I wouldn't book Tessa Blanchard just because of the bad press that has surrounded every aspect of her from all the companies that she's worked for. I think that she is going to require a little bit of personal. She's going to need to, on her own, change her reputation. Because I'm not saying I don't know Tessa Blanchard, and I'm not going to say whether or not I believe or disbelieve any of the rumors surrounding Tessa Blanchard. I just know they're out there. They're talked about, and it creates an opinion within wrestling fans. And I think that she on her own should work diligently to, show that she's on time, she's there, she works, and she busts her ass. And so I think that's kind of up to her. I'm really surprised that she's done nothing since Impact. I mean, I didn't think that WWE was going to be interested, and I didn't really think AEW was going to jump on it. But I'm surprised that she's not working in Mexico, that she's not, working in Europe.
I think she got married, took time off to, I guess, let the heat calm down a little bit, and then just get stuff back on the radar. I guess enjoy some time off from wrestling. So,
and everyone needs to, because wrestling kind of overtakes your everything when you're too deep into it.
Yeah. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank JD Sloane for coming onto the show. Mr. Sloane, we appreciate you. You're welcome back anytime you want.
Thank you. Before I leave, if I can tell anyone that's listening to this, make sure if you're on Facebook or Twitter, you check out New South Championship Wrestling. You check out JCP Promotions, MSWA Wrestling out of Knoxville, Tennessee. You check out Overdrive Pro Wrestling, NGW Tennessee. Make sure you guys go out there. You support your independents, support the stars of tomorrow. Because without fans being out there buying tickets, the industry will just dry up, and then there'll be nobody for AEW or WWE to even use. So support independents.
Of course, always. And this episode will also be re-aired on our official YouTube and it's going to be restreamed on Twitch, Facebook. So we'll also be sending out the link as well once we post that. So JD, thank you for joining us. We are going to take a quick minute break, and then we'll be back.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Hi. We're back. No, I'm playing. So yeah, we are officially back. Give us about a couple of minutes, and we'll be right back. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. I want to thank JD Sloane for joining us, man. I think it was a nice little conversation, which we will definitely have a part two. We do want to see more of JD Sloane on here. So, as always, just make sure you follow his make promotions, and we'll post links to everything that he's part of on our official Facebook, so that way you'll be able to check it out. So, Anyways, Double or Nothing was this weekend. Oh my god, sir, what were your feelings overall over this whole
I really,
podcast?
I really enjoyed it, and like aside from the triple threat match, which a lot of people liked, I enjoyed it.
So I'm surprised you disliked the triple threat match. I enjoyed.
I'm opposite of you. Like I know you didn't really care for the Go and the Young Bucks match, but I cared for those two more than I cared for a triple threat.
That's interesting because I felt like the wrong person went over with the Ogogo match. I felt like Cody could have let Ogogo have this moment, but
Cody's
he had to
Triple
make
H,
it.
though. Cody's Triple H.
That's the annoying part. as much mess about that they talk about each other. Well, as much mess that is talked about from both promotions. I feel like it's one of those things that they're kind of similar in some ways. But I mean, I really enjoyed the triple threat. Apart from the ending, which I thought was a little rushed. It felt like there was something else supposed to happen after that before the pin happened, but it didn't. I will say that my favorite match of the night was Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida. I think that
was your favorite match of the night.
One of them. I had two.
You don't have multiple favorite matches. You had one favorite match of the night.
Okay, you want to know my favorite match of the night was Stadium Stampede.
Okay, I cannot believe I am saying this. I really enjoyed the opening match. Like just because I had no expectations, I was like, it's gonna be a whatever match, and I thought it was way better than it needed to be. I also did enjoy. I wasn't a big fan of Miro and Archer.
Lance Archer. I thought that match. I wish. Here's one thing about it. I really wish this match would have been built out a little longer. I felt that it was right. Yeah. Not even that. I feel like they could have built it up to the next pay per view, because this match itself felt big. It felt like a big time match. The action was pretty awesome. Freaking Lance Archer was a beast. Miro too. I just felt that it was too soon to give Miro a loss, but also it was too soon to. It kind of killed any momentum that Lance Archer built.
Especially because you were doing the whole Archer and Sting stuff. Now it's just like,
yeah,
it's just like you hit a brick wall and you got to start over, kind of.
Well, that's the same way it feels like with That's the same way it feels like when you're talking about like people like Ogogo. What's next for them? Is this the end of that storyline, or are we going to see more?
Well, no, they announced Nick Comoroto and Dustin Bullrope match. So I think it's going to be is I think it's going to be Cody will everyone's going to kick Dustin's ass, and Cody's going to have to beat everyone.
Save the day.
Yeah, which that's such a Cody Rhodes storyline.
Yeah, but that's kind of what people shit on WWE about a lot. Like when you look at it, the continuous stories of the same storyline in different aspects. That's what they're kind of doing with this one. I mean, at least that's how I feel about it.
When you have 82 factions, you need to have at least 2 of them feuding, right?
But I mean, that's one of the, I thought that match was in itself was decent. I didn't really care too much for it. I thought that the ending with the vertebrae was a good way to finish it, but I was definitely thinking that he was going to finish it with a crossroads. I will say the Sting and Darby Allin match with versus Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page was good. But what does it do to, like, it goes back to what I'm saying. Like, you build up these guys to be big monsters, then you have them lose against, I hate, you have them lose. So what do you do with them now? What are you going to do? What's next for Scorpio Sky? What's next for Ethan Page? Are they going to turn on each other? Are we going to have 50,000 more matches between them? Like, what's going to happen?
I think Pride and Powerful take the titles off the Young Bucks, and I think Scorpio and Ethan take the titles off of. But that's a long time away still. That's like 8 to 12 months away.
Mean, are we gonna see? Are we gonna like for me? Give me Pride and Powerful versus the Young Bucks. That would be a dream match of mine. Even though it already happened, but I want to see the Pride and Powerful take the championship belts. I think they're one of the strongest teams in
and
AEW.
It'd be cool to see them as the faces. It'd be cool to see them as the faces and the Bucks as the heels.
And I think this is the moment. They have the momentum. They have the hype. That they just came off a pretty badass victory against the Pinnacle. Mm-hmm. Which, on the flip side of that, kind of, what's next for the Pinnacle?
Didn't I call this, though? Didn't I call this?
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about this. Yeah. I really wish Matt was here, because Matt was like hell bent on the Pinnacle winning. And I was like, no, man, they're not going to win. It's going to be 50-50 booking. The best thing about this, and I have some complaints about it. I would give this match 3.5 out of 5. I thought there wasn't enough emphasis on every player in the match, especially the tag teams, FTR and Pride and Powerful. But the thing I liked best about it was Sammy getting the pin, because Jericho's going away, so this could give Sammy a little bit of time to feel it out. Maybe after Jungle Boy, Sammy takes on Kenny or Miro. Bring some gold to the inner circle if you need.
So here's my let's while we're talking about it, let's go with the positives and negatives of the Stadium Stampede. I think the Stadium Stampede did a good job at spotlighting people like MJF, Chris Jericho, both tag teams. In a sense, I wish they would have got more, but the MVP of this match was literally Sammy Guevara. I don't care what anybody says.
I think Wardlow looked like a movie star. I thought Wardlow looked like a movie star.
Yeah, but Sammy was the main MVP of this match. A lot of the spotlight was on Sammy for a reason. They're trying to build him as the next star, which I see it. I see that he has the charisma, he has the build, he has all the qualities to be.
He's what's it called? He's international. You get the Hispanic fans, the American fans, everything with him. Yeah.
And he's from the H, so that's all that matters. But I think it was a great thing to give Sammy the pin. And unfortunately, it had to be on
Spears, which was another thing we predicted.
Yeah, I mean it sucks because you want to see Spears, even though Spears did have some good moments in the match. That little chair segment that he had, getting Sammy tied up with the handcuffs to the rail. He had some good moments in the match. We had some reliving moments where they brought up the cart, and instead of a horse, they used the inner circle riders to scare. Instead of Sammy, it was Sean Spears. The comedic moments. I can say that one of my favorite parts of it was seeing Conan being the DJ in the club. Which is
Urban Meyer too. Urban Meyer was awesome.
Urban Meyer spot was pretty awesome too. I think it was a good way to kind of do a cross promotion and promote the team.
Get that mainstream,
get that mainstream appeal. So I think it was pretty good. I will give him that. And I think I think the highlight of the match was, in my opinion, was once Jericho's whole backstage segment with MJF was a big highlight. After that, after those backstage segments were over, everything just sped up pretty quickly, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I thought the match went a little too long, and I think it focused on. You have to, because it's Jericho and MJF. Their backstage segment just seemed way too long, and it seemed like everyone else got 2 segments, right? Sammy got the part where he got handcuffed, and he got the last segment. Jericho got the office, the Urban Meyer, the football field, everything. Swagger and Wardlow got the freezer. They got the kitchen, and they got outside of the freezer. And it seemed like the tag team only got a couple like it seemed like they only showed the tag team for like 2 minutes on the stadium in the stadium like with the empty seats and everything,
Yeah,
and then
and the
everything
bar
else was
scene, and that was it.
yeah. So that's my only gripe about that. Like, I think with how much they emphasize, like, Santana going to jail and Ortiz saying, nah, this is family, like, I think they should have emphasized on them a little more. But, that's the thing when you have 10 men in a match. It's very hard to.
Yeah. It makes it kind of hard to give everybody that equal amount of spotlight.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Casino Battle Royale. What were your thoughts on that?
You called Jungle Boy winning because we both thought it was going to be Christian, but our out of the box pick, you said Jungle Boy and I said Big Show. Nah, so yeah, I thought Jungle Boy winning was good. I liked the spot with Christian at the end. I don't think you needed Marco Stunt and Luchasaurus out there. I think it kind of took away from the moment. But what a lot of people aren't talking about is this Mark Henry signing, and I think this is a way bigger deal than people are not making it out to be. Mark Henry's the one that he found Apollo on the Indies for WWE. He found Bianca Belair, found AJ Francis, found Jade Cargill. Like, these are all money names right now.
Yeah.
So
I think it was a good pickup. I read the article and also heard a little bit of what Mark Henry had to say about the move to AEW. He said that WWE was gonna keep him, but when the cuts came, instead of cutting him, they just let his contract run out, and they didn't want to give him anything. So the conversation he had with Vince McMahon basically said, "Hey, I gotta go do me. Gotta go find me. I still want to do blah blah blah." And Vince McMahon said, "You're talented. You know what you're doing. Go ahead and It's the same thing he basically kind of told the Big Show, but it's like the way Mark Henry put it. It's like, hey, he was being honest with them. It's still all love. There's no love lost between them. So it's like I'm enjoying that. That if it's true, because like I said, this is just coming out of his words, and him trying to be nice. But if it's true, this is the second time I've heard about WWE. I mean, Vince letting somebody go and giving them the blessings to do what they want to do in another promotion. So,
well, not only that, but like Henry's got so many indie connections in Texas too. Like, he's worked shows with Gino. He's worked at SWE. He worked shows in Houston. Like, I really don't think people are. I don't know what Chris is talking about. But no, I really think the Mark Henry signing is a really big deal. Like, I think we're going to look back at it in a year or two and we're going to be like, yeah.
It could, in my opinion, it's a big signing, but it could go either way. So you also have to realize. So when I was watching Double or Nothing, I was watching Twitter as well. So a lot of what the gripe is coming on now is like you're starting to see a little of the frustration come from the wrestlers now because of the fact that they're signing these people, these WWE legends, these new top stars. It's pushing a lot of their guys to the back, which is something that AEW prided upon not wanting to do.
Is it really though? Big Show hasn't wrestled a match. Mark Henry's not going to wrestle a match. Like, I think that's all. I think that's the same source that said the EVPs are infighting. I think because not only that, you also you're taking away older talent too. Christopher Daniels isn't going to be on TV for a long time. What's it called? That's one, right? So you basically replace Christian with Christopher Daniels, I'd say. And then Big Show and Mark Henry aren't really doing anything. They're announcing. And when they're announcing, they're putting over the younger talent that people don't know about. So I think that's very good. Like, wait until Mark Henry announces a Maddie Rankowski or a Jasmine Allure or a Chandler Hawkins, any of these guys who he works with at SWE or works with in Houston. Wait till Mark Henry announces one of their matches. It's going to have so much more effect because he knows their backstory.
Yeah. I think I agree. I mean, I think I know it's going to be one of those special moments, which is what it's a great asset. AEW gained a great asset with Mark Henry being an analyst, being a commentator, and stuff like that. Which I think he brings a lot of experience. He brings a lot of positive things for AEW. The same thing with the Big Show. It was a good signing. It's just one of those things that you have to let see where it goes. It could go positive, it could go negative, or it could go meh. That's
Yeah.
that it's one of three ways. So I'm excited to see it. I am not at all mad that he left WWE because they weren't using him. They were just letting him go. But let's see. Let's see what happens. I agree with you. It was a big deal because, like I said, Mark Henry was a great recruiter as well. So him scouting some people, like I said, there's move with TNT, the move to TBS, the move them signing these legends to deals and has coaches. I think it's gonna come full circle once they go to TBS, which is good. Good for wrestling, at least.
Let's talk. I know we're just jumping around. Let's do talk about that women's match. I thought the women's match was very good as well. I think it was. I thought this whole pay per view was very predictable.
I actually, you know what? I actually disagree. Well, somewhat. I somewhat disagree. I thought honestly, in all honesty, I watched it and was actually surprised at the flow of the matches. I was actually surprised at the way it if
I don't
I
mean
guess it's because of the
predictable like
crowd.
that. I mean predictable like you can have a predictable show and it still be good. Look at the last four
Yeah.
WWE shows they've done. I'm saying predictable as in like we knew the outcome of every match. I think the only match that was hard to predict was the tag team match.
Yeah.
Like you knew Mira wasn't going to lose the title. We knew it's Britt's time now. We knew Kenny was going to retain. We knew Hangman wasn't going to lose twice, right? So that's what I mean by the predictable.
I honestly I think that the women's match was actually a great decision to finally put the belt on Britt Baker. As much as I like Hikaru Shida, I think Britt Baker's it right now. I think she's the hottest she's ever been in AEW and in the industry. I think she's probably among the top 5 heels in the industry right now. Apart
Dude,
from Charlotte,
I thought we were going to get a double turn.
I thought so too.
When Hikaru got mad, like the stretch muffler didn't win it, and the crutch shot didn't win it, I thought Hikaru was going to grab the cane
and just tee
Matt
off.
Hardy EC3 thing, and then like I really enjoyed the Tony and Britt. A lot of people were against the Tony and Britt Baker thing because they're like she's a heel, but nah, man, Tony's like basically her dad at this point, so I was okay with it.
Well, no, I've been okay with that because the relationship they've always had has been like that. Even when she first turned heel, she's always had Tony in her corner. Like she's Tony has always been in her corner. So there's really nothing wrong with that. I think that the way it ended, I think that the way that that the whole pace of the match itself was nice. I think I really want to see what's next. I'm
I was
excited.
going to ask you, what's next?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think we might get a rematch for the title. And then after that, I think that either we see Nyla Rose or we see Tai, or we see. I need to see the rankings on who's that, even though they really don't matter. But
I think it's going to be Ty. I think it's going to be Ty. I think it's going to be Ty. Because here's the thing, like you could have it be Ty. Ty loses, and then you could have Anna Jay come back and be like, "You injured me, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And then if they want to give Anna Jay the moment, they can give it to her right there. But it's weird.
Actually, it's not going to be Ty. It's going to be Thunder Rosa against Britt Baker.
I don't want him. I mean, yeah, it was a good match, but
think about it. When you look at the rankings, Thunder Rosa is right behind Britt Baker, and then Ty is number 3, then Nyla number 4, then Red Velvet is number 5.
Why is Jade Cargill ranked below? Screw these rankings. Fuck these rankings. Because how is Jade Cargill? She beat her 3 times.
I don't know.
Dude,
That's AEW rankings.
Do you remember last month Shaquille O'Neal came to AEW and he was on a team with Jade Cargill and they won? You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And then Jade Cargill a couple weeks later had another match with Red Velvet and she won.
Mm-hmm.
And then she basically owned her in like every promo. So shouldn't she be like, I don't know.
Anyways, the triple threat. I actually want to talk about the triple threat because I thought that the triple threat was pretty decent. I like the whole I will say that Kenny Omega and Pac have some great chemistry.
Yeah.
I want to see a one-on-one match.
We've already seen it.
Them. No, I want to see another one-on-one match.
Well, Jungle Boy's next in line, bro.
So let's talk about that. Who do you think? We all know. I hate to see it. We all know that Jungle Boy is not going to be Kenny Omega.
Yeah, Jungle Boy is basically Darby Allin. He's gonna get that spot and he'll lose.
I thought that it was a great moment to push a young talent, which would make me like the match a lot, and it was a good way to try to build another talent, which was the same thing with Jungle Boy. It gave Jungle Boy the push, it gave Jungle Boy the rub, and then at the after the match segment with Christian gave him a little bit more of the rub. So I'm interested to see what's next for that, but I don't think Jungle Boy is winning unless something miraculously happens.
So the next 3 weeks of AEW are going to be pre-taped. Yeah. So, and they said Jungle Boy and Kenny will probably be the main event of the last 3 weeks. I think Jungle Boy's going to lose, and then I want Sammy and Miro, so I would send someone else after Kenny. I don't know who, but Hangman. But Hangman's gonna be the one to take it off of Kenny too. That's the thing.
I think that all roads lead to Hangman Page for Kenny.
But you need to hold it off till a bigger show, right? You can't do that full gear.
No, this is gonna happen at All Out. This whole. I think if Kenny Omega loses the belt, it's gonna happen at All Out. That's just my prediction.
I could also see them doing, just because it's AEW, I could see them doing like Moxley, Kingston, and Intrate Tag Team A versus the Young Bucks, Gallows, Anderson, and Kenny. I could see that too.
I would hate that. I would really hate that. I would really hate that because I feel that AEW should. I mean, the All Out should be like kind of like the Clash of Champions as well. Like they're promoting AEW has the Clash of Champions in a sense, like where all the championship moments were made. So if they're gonna do something like that, it's gonna piss me off. I'm just saying, just being honest.
I don't. It's gonna be. It's gonna be different now that because AEW has a crowd, WWE doesn't. So AEW can gauge what people are liking, right?
Yeah, but Hangman it's still over, even with the crowd now. He was way over in this one. So why not give Adam the chance to go after the title that he should have got?
Because I think Adam's going to win. And I don't think Kenny's ready to drop it.
Well, he's going to have to drop something. Because
it's going to go circular. It's going to go, he'll lose CMLL, he'll lose AAA, he'll lose Impact, then he'll lose.
He doesn't have CMLL, though.
Or sorry,
he'll lose AAA. He'll lose the AAA Mega Championship. Then he'll lose the Impact Championship, and then he'll lose the AEW. So all that.
So you're saying in this next 2 months, Moose is going to beat him, Andrade is going to beat him, Hangman's going to beat him? I don't think that happens.
I think he'll.
You get what I'm saying, though, right? Like I want him to win the title.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's and you also got to think about it that you also got to think that freaking Tony Khan likes to protect his wrestlers.
Mhm.
So there's also rumors of him going to Japan as well, which I really don't want to happen. Why are you going to go to Japan? Why?
To win another title.
Doesn't make sense. I mean, I get the bill collector gimmick, but
How did you feel about Leo Rush?
eh.
It was underwhelming, right? And then you just eliminate him right away?
Yeah, it wasn't really nothing to be like.
I thought
yay.
Matt Hardy was the MVP of the Battle Royal.
Yeah, no, I agree. Him and Private Party were fucking great. Like, I thought I thought Christian did a great job at putting people over as well. He wasn't as selfish as people thought he was going to be. He did pretty good. I enjoyed it. I think that's it. I think we covered mostly everything.
No, did we? Oh yeah, the opening match. I enjoyed the opening match. I actually think it was one of my favorite matches. I think Brian Cage is splitting from this group very soon.
I think so too. And I want to see it. I don't want him to be with them anymore.
You know what would be cool if Brian Cage splits? He goes after Miro. Sammy goes after Kenny for a month. Obviously, Sammy loses. But then you could have Hangman. You could build Hangman for another month. You know?
Yeah. I think that would be cool. I think that would be a interesting way to go, which I am excited to see.
And I think that was pretty much everything. So you didn't like the Young Bucks match? Why?
I didn't. I felt that it went a little bit overboard at the end, in my opinion. I just didn't.
Overboard as in the finish, or
the finish? I think it was over the top, in my opinion.
So I thought the finish wasn't strong enough.
I still didn't like the finish.
No, so you and Matt both said y'all thought the finish was like way too over the top. I didn't think it was strong enough. Like, yeah, okay, you hit 3 BT triggers. None of them look strong.
No, and that's what I'm saying. It was over the top. They just did it just to do it.
Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, and I thought Eddie Kingston, dude, that guy. I liked Eddie Kingston in that match. I don't know. I think I'm turning a leaf to the Young Bucks, and I don't like it because I'm not a Young Bucks guy, and I think I am turning that leaf.
Ooh. All right, ladies and gentlemen, next week we'll have a new co-host on the show.
Yeah, you guys get Monty on his bedside again. No. Are we doing a show Thursday? What's the plan for Thursday? I feel like we haven't talked about NXT in like a year.
Yeah, we'll come back on Thursday. So we'll come back on Thursday for a quick 30-minute special on what happened today on NXT, which I'm seeing some of the recap stuff. I don't need to talk about it though. I'm just saying I'm not going to give any spoilers.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's show. We want to thank JD Sloane for joining us. As always, follow us on our social media handles: Weekly Wrestling Heat Podcast, Wicked Wrestling Heat, Wicked Wrestling Heat TV, and _ Wrestling Heat on Twitter. So we'll be back on Thursday with another episode covering all this week's action in wrestling. Unfortunately, we might have to catch AEW next week on Friday. Well, we'll have to catch next Thursday episode. Will be a recap of it.
Fridays are turning into Mondays for me, bro. Like I enjoy both shows, but back to back, Because little story. So it was my birthday weekend. I watched both of them pre-recorded. I watched both of them on DVR. But just watching 4 hours of wrestling, And I wanted to go to Mania in Dallas, so I don't know if that's like an 8-hour thing. I don't know about that.
No, I think they're going to do 2 days. I think their rumor is that they're going to do 2 days, but we'll see.
So what I read is, Jerry said no.
See, that's why Dallas sucks.
But I like it because I think NXT deserves its own day.
I understand that, but I also like the fact that they're doing NXT on 2 days. I mean, WrestleMania 2 day thing. It gives you that break that you need, but instead of having like 15 matches back to back, you get that 1 day break to kick it and then come back and enjoy the second half.
If every other pay per view was 2.5, 3 hours max, and the only ones that were 4 hours to 5 hours were Rumble, Mania, and Money in the Bank, I would be okay with it.
Well, I think that WWE has done a great has done a great job at actually doing shortening their pay per views. I thought this was AEW's longest pay per view at almost 5 hours.
SummerSlam's going to go 6 now. It has to.
I don't know.
You're going to one up AEW's first pay per view back. You have to.
They already did with WrestleMania, 2 nights.
No, but this was AEW like, hey, no, we're back. So now they got to one up it again, and especially if it's that weekend of the Pacquiao fight. Yeah, you might have to go to Vegas.
Is it going to be in Vegas?
They're saying it's supposed to be the night before the Pacquiao fight.
When's the Pacquiao fight?
August 19th or whatever. I don't know. We'll know more next week when we're back. Pretty much it.
August.
Hey, do I need to watch Raw or no? Do I need to watch Raw or no?
Just the main event.
Okay.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. We'll be back on Thursday with another episode of Weekly Wrestling Heat. And from me and Moist, we are officially out. Peace.